Is this the revival? Yes, this is Vince. What the fuck? Let me explain. Let me walk you through the process. First off, we offer you each $1 million to dress up as Cat in the Hat. And you said, boom, AEW, here we come. Why? Not even that. I was like, okay, you know what? They want to walk? Let them walk. You said we want to wrestle. Who cares about tag team wrestling in WWE? Anyways, then, all of a sudden, yesterday I'm waking up, boom, Saudi Arabia news. What's going on here? Former WWE superstar leaks news on what really happened in Saudi Arabia. The funny thing is that I believe we were all in that room and we said what happens in Saudi Arabia stays in Saudi Arabia. Of course, you didn't listen to that, did you? Can't believe you guys. Saudi Arabia news. Former WWE superstar that is no longer with the company has released news on what really happened in Saudi Arabia. Hulk Hogan's wife now joins him from being banned from AEW events due to more racism that is exposed on social media, and Edge reportedly injured during his match at Backlash. We're going to talk about all this and then some. Stay right here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome right back to the YouTube channel. This is Nick's World as always, and I am Nick and I am your host. Today we've got 3 topics to talk about, all wrestling related. So I know there's a lot of wrestling fans that are subscribed to this channel, and this is going to be your cup of tea. We got 3 interesting topics. I'm going to break them down, give you my analysis of them. First topic we got to talk about is the Saudi Arabia situation. We all know about the hostage situation with reported Vince McMahon and the Saudi Arabian prince had issues in regards to payments, where they were being held hostage in the country. We have Linda Hogan now joining her husband. Hulk Hogan is being banned from AEW events as a very racist tweet was sent out on her behalf. And if there's anything we know about Hulk Hogan and his wife, is we may not know them personally, but they are very, very in the news the last couple of years for all of the wrong reasons. And last but not least, Randy Orton, well, I don't know if it was Randy Orton's fault, but Edge was injured in the match, in the greatest wrestling match ever at Backlash. I'm going to talk about how that affects the storyline and just everything else that's involved with that aspect of it going forward. So I think the first topic we're going to talk about is the Saudi Arabia situation with WWE and Saudi Arabia. Now, this happened last year in 2019. It was between Vince McMahon and the Saudi Arabian prince, from what we are told. The article says here, as WWE continues to deal with a class action lawsuit from shareholders who feel the promotion misrepresented its dealings with Saudi Arabia, an anonymous former WWE star has come forward to give his account of the strange, ominous events surrounding the October 31st charter flight with Atlas Air. Shareholders filed class action lawsuits dating back to April. Class action complaint, yada yada yada, features an anonymous account of fateful Saudi flight in October that WWE infamously chalked up to a mechanical issue. So WWE's share play of what actually happened here was that it was a mechanical issue. They had cited that, you know, they didn't want the real deal to come out, and I think the real deal actually has come out, but they cited it as a mechanical issue with the plane. And what I think is complete BS about that is that it's Vince McMahon. He can order and sum up any plane that he pretty much wants any time of the day. The anonymous testimony suggests that an argument, now this is what we're told really happened, an argument between WWE Chairman Vince McMahon and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman over late payments was at the center of the still mysterious flight delays. The former WWE superstar went as far as to quote a stewardess on the flight who reportedly told him, it seems someone does not want us to leave the country. So basically what we're being told happened was that either Vince McMahon or the Saudi Arabian prince, whoever, was late on their payments for the flight. Let's say, for example, that I don't know if it was Vince McMahon's aspect of it or whatever, but there was a late payment, and it resulted in the Saudi Arabian prince getting hostile. We were told that there was some kind of argument between him and Vince McMahon, and it resulted in the talent that had performed at the Crown Jewel event being held hostage, quote unquote. And for those of you that don't know, there was a SmackDown live event that was the next night, and I believe the flight to and from Saudi Arabia is about a 14-hour flight, so obviously there was not too much time to spare. Per the filing, the star performed for the company from 2012 to 2020, and participated in the Crown Jewel event. Confirms the substance of media reports were the document pertaining to the suit. We got it here. Explained that he spoke with a stewardess on the flight who told him it seems someone doesn't want us to leave the country. He further explained that the pilot sounded distressed when he informed the passengers the flight was unable to take off. CW2, which is another name for a person in the case, explained that he asked the senior director of talent relations, Mark Carano, a lot of you probably know who that is, about what was going on, and Carano told him the Crown Prince bin Salman and McMahon had gotten into an argument over late payments in connection with the June Super Showdown event. And then it also states the account on the line, initial reports coming out of Atlas Air, which was described at some as a hostage situation. It's not so much the report that's shocking, but rather the fact that former WWE superstar came forward to speak out against the company, one that excels in keeping in current and former talent quiet and in line as part of a lawsuit. WWE has done its best to downplay these reports, but now is forced to confront them through the latest developments in an ongoing class action lawsuit. Though WWE laid off hundreds of staff on April 15th in a controversial cost-cutting measure during a global pandemic, details that the anonymous WWE superstar started in 2012 and participated in the Saudi show narrows down the field of possible whistleblowers. My friend was the one that actually told me, well, I knew about this news about them being held hostage and whatnot, but my friend was actually the one that told me who he thought it was, and he said that it was the Revival. And at first I'm like, yeah, whatever, but then I'm thinking about it and I'm like, well, you know what, he's probably right, because if you think about it, the Revival was not happy with WWE. I believe they started in, I don't know if they started in 2012. April 15th sounds right about the time when both of them were released, and they were granted the release. They had a little bit of time off, and then they made their debut in AEW. From what I'm told, I would not be shocked if it was the Revival, because again, the Revival had a strong dislike for WWE. Again, I don't think that they disliked them from the standpoint of we can't stand these guys, but I think they didn't like, obviously, Vince McMahon rubbed the way that he went about himself a little bit the wrong way. They didn't like it. They went to AEW, and now they're going to be very important in AEW. They're going to get They're going to get the ability to showcase, kind of just everything that we know they're already capable of, and that's fantastic wrestling. And I'm not accusing the Revival, but I think that if you had a gun to my head and you said who could have done it, it could have been the Revival. Starting in 2012, okay, that's a start point. Ending in April, I don't know exactly when the Revival were done with WWE, but that sounds right about the time when they announced that the WWE officially announced their release that the Revival had requested for. That sounds right about the time period when that had happened. What I remember is, certain guys being able to take the flight out or the flight back to the United States. I remember Brock Lesnar opening up SmackDown the next night looking absolutely exhausted, and I also remember, from what I'm told, that if I'm correct, this was the SmackDown which Triple H had most creative control, and I remember it being one of the best SmackDowns of the year. So that explains that. I do honestly believe 90% of what this article states, and WWE is one of those companies, and a lot of companies do it, where they kind of just want to bury different things down the ground. I think WWE, even more so than other companies, really tries to swipe things under the rug, and that's what I'm going to talk about with the next topic when I'm just about done here. We're going to have to see. I don't know if the person's going to come out that said they did it. I don't think they ever will come out and say they publicly did it. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was the Revival, just because of how this makes sense. We were kind of told a lot of these details already, but it just goes to confirm you that the superstar is now first-hand experience giving you these details. So that's kind of what I think. Now we're gonna get more into the lawsuit. If there's anybody that really doesn't want a lawsuit right now, I can tell you it's Vince McMahon. But we're gonna see what goes on here. I don't know what the update is. I don't know when their next Saudi show is. Again, a lot of this has kind of just swept it all under the rug and just put it to the side. But that's just what I got from you there. And a lot of the talent spoke out about it. I remember they were very frustrated, as they should be. And speaking of frustration, we're going to talk about the next topic now. Hulk Hogan's ex-wife Linda is now banned from all AEW events after a controversial tweet. We are told that Hulk Hogan was also banned from AEW events as well. For those of you that don't know, a couple of years ago, when Hulk Hogan's audio tape got leaked of him saying, I'll try to put it on the screen, I am not going to say it, WWE legend Hulk Hogan and his ex-wife Linda are now both banned from attending AEW shows indefinitely. Tony Khan has announced. 37-year-old son of Jaguars owner Shahid Khan announced the two were prohibited from appearing in his company in response to a controversial tweet from Linda about the protests that were sparked by George Floyd's killing. It comes as activists across the world have called for justice after Floyd died when police officer Derek Chauvin kneeled on his neck during an arrest. The footage of the 46-year-old begging for help in Minneapolis sparked outrage worldwide, as it should, because it was so wrong. In a since deleted tweet that she deleted, people don't realize is that Linda can delete the tweet all she wants. When you put something on social media, it's going to be there. And it's going to be there forever, whether it's on your page or someone else's. Linda referenced the ongoing riots across America, where protesters are calling for police reforms. This is what she said. She wrote, "Watching the looting, it's all Afro-Americans. Not sure how robbing and stealing set the record straight, but if they want to be heard, they need to be civilized." First off, that is probably, there's a certain level of ignorance that people display on social media. She said the looting, which a lot of us don't agree with. I don't think there should be looting. Okay, now she's saying it's all Afro-Americans. It's not all Afro-Americans, okay? There is plenty of white, Asian, all kinds of people that are committing looting. That's where she's wrong. Now she's saying, don't know how to set the record straight, but if they, meaning black people, want to be heard, they need to be civilized. So now she's calling black people uncivilized and pertaining to them as monsters. If there's anybody if there's one person that's had a humongous impact in professional wrestling, it's Hulk Hogan. But it's been massively tainted. It's been massively tainted if you ask me. Linda was widely condemned for the comments. Wrestler and entire commentator AJ Kirch tweeted, "You should just go ahead and delete your entire Twitter account, not just that one tweet. You know the one." And AEW boss Khan said, "You now joined your husband in being banned from all AEW shows. Congratulations." They filed for divorce in 2007 after 25 years of marriage. Following allegations, the WWE Hall of Famer had been unfaithful. Wouldn't be surprised to hear that either. It's unclear when Terry Gene Boley, also known as Hulk Hogan, was banned from AEW, but is believed to be due to him making racist remarks. The veteran was temporarily erased from WWE's history following the leak of a video where he used the N-word and said he hoped his daughter would never sleep with a black man. In addition to terminating Hogan's contract, Vince McMahon Company deleted his profile from its site and limited any references to him in archive footage. And, of course, WWE being who they are. Yet 3 years later, in September 2018, WWE announced that Hogan had been reinstated to its Hall of Fame. Hulk Hogan has had such a big impact that Vince McMahon will just not let him go the way that he should. I don't know Hulk Hogan personally, but Hulk Hogan, based from what we seems like the type of guy that is far left. Very racist. Very racist. He said it, his ex-wife said it, it probably runs in the family. And again, it's not me throwing shade at Hulk Hogan, but shame on him for when he said that. And shame on WWE for announcing he's reinstated. All of a sudden, Hulk Hogan's relevant again. All of a sudden, he had the racist incident, a couple years, let's sweep it under the rug. And all of a sudden, Hulkamania is running wild again. Oh, man. It's crazy. I don't know how the company was back then, and I don't work for WWE, so I don't know WWE. But it just amazes me that this company does the things that they do, and they expect people that are my age or older to not see that. And then they get mad when they're called out on Twitter for the things that they do, and it's not everybody. I'm not singling anybody out. It's just, I try to not talk crap about people on here, because to be honest with you, Hulk Hogan and Linda have already made their image. I don't need to tell you anything about them. That's awful. Shame on her, and shame on him. Hulk Hogan doesn't seem like a guy that was going to come to AEW anyway, but who cares? If I'm Tony Khan, I would have did the same thing. Have a nice day. That's that. Last topic to talk about is WWE issues an official statement on Edge. I'm going to talk about that. Now, before I get into that, I want to mention real quick. Last night on Raw, Randy Orton took place in a phenomenal angle to end the show. It resulted in what was going to be Randy Orton and Christian in an unsanctioned match. Following, Christian's appearance on Raw to open the show, Randy Orton called him out. We saw Christian throughout the show just being confronted by different legends, all-stars, and people saying, don't mess with Randy Orton. He's on a different level. We know that your heart's in the right place, but don't do it. He eventually did it, and Ric Flair, who is known as the dirtiest player in the game, did what he does. He low-blowed Christian. It resulted in Randy taking down Christian, and then it resulted in Randy punting Christian, and Randy pleaded and said, I didn't want to do this, I didn't want to do this, I didn't want to do this, and it resulted in Christian being stretchered out. However, the night before, Randy Orton and Edge did not have the greatest wrestling match ever, but they had a damn good one, and they should be proud of it. However, we were told that during the taping or the retaping that Edge had actually reportedly been injured during his match between them. WWE has confirmed in an official statement that Edge did indeed suffer a torn triceps injury during his match against Randy Orton at Backlash. It was added that Edge had successfully undergone surgery and he's currently rehabbing, so this was already done. Obviously, the shows were being taped ahead of time, so we knew that. Edge suffered a torn triceps as a result of injuries sustained during the great match. He's undergoing surgery and he's at home. When did Edge suffer the injury at Backlash? More details regarding the injury were revealed after the show was in the books. Dave Meltzer reported on Wrestling Observer Radio that Edge suffered the injury during one of the retakes at Backlash. The match was taped on June 7th, and Edge and Randy Orton had no issues going through the first taping of the match. However, Edge tore his triceps during the reshoot, which was done to plug any loose ends and help during the editing phase. WWE confirms Edge's injury. The rated superstar could be out of action for 4 to 8 months. The recovery time for a torn triceps injury is said to be 8 months in worst case scenarios, and that could mean that we may not see Edge compete again for another year. Edge vs. Randy Orton 2 was originally slated to take place at SummerSlam, but the WWE pushed the match forward due to the apparent lack of star power for Backlash. There were rumors that Edge and Randy Orton would have their rubber match at the biggest show of the summer. That will not happen now. They put on a 45-minute match, iconic finishers, yada yada yada. The 11-time champion was involved in a great, engaging match. Come at the worst time. We at Sportskeeda to wish Edge a speedy recovery and hope to see him back in action soon. Hopefully it's not 8 months. You know, I hear Randy Orton say something about you could be back as early as July. I don't know about that. I am not a doctor. I don't know again, you have to keep in mind too, Edge is an older guy. You know, he's not washed up, but he's an older guy, so his body has obviously been through the ringer, and it's going to take a lot longer for somebody like him to heal as opposed to somebody like Austin Theory. Now, what happened yesterday, a lot of people are saying Christian can't wrestle again. I will not count that as a Christian match last night. What could happen now is that Extreme Rules, if Christian is ballsy and he's got what it takes, we could see Randy Orton versus Christian at Extreme Rules. I don't know where Randy Orton goes from here because he took out Christian. Edge is out for what could be up to 8 months. We now don't know where they're planning on going with this. You know, the idea was probably to have the best of 3 match at SummerSlam. We don't even know if SummerSlam is going to take place. We don't even know if there's going to be fans. There's such a huge variety of factors that go into where this feud goes next. What they could do is have Randy Orton and Christian in an Extreme Rules match next month. That's the first thing they could do. They could drop it, pretend the feud never existed, and Randy Orton goes after Drew McIntyre, and that sets up for SummerSlam. Or we can just wait and see. Maybe Edge shows a vignette of him back healing at home, says he's going to come for Orton when he's back. But if it's 8 months, 8 months is a long damn time. I heard anywhere from 4 to 8 months. WWE is really upset at this because they want Edge at SummerSlam. And that really screws up where this feud was going. This feud was one of the best feuds in WWE in recent years. And this happening really, really screws it up. I don't know where they go from here. If I had to take a quick guess, I say Randy Orton fights Christian at Extreme Rules, and that can build their feud. And it can kind of kill some time as Edge heals, and it kills some time as we kind of get more news on where Edge is. That's the only way it could go. But judging after what happened yesterday, I don't know if Christian will even be able to walk. So that's the news I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for listening, watching. As always, hit the like button, subscribe, push this video out there. And I hope everyone stays safe.